Hey guys, Nick Horton here, the Iron Samurai, and this is another episode of Samurai Strength. In today's episode, we're going to talk about your brain and why it's always fucking you up, and why in the long run, it's not going to. In fact, the old phrase, how you feel is a lie, only applies to beginners, and I'm going to show you today why that is through a little bit of game show trickery. But first, before we get into all of that good stuff and how it's going to relate to Squat Nemesis more generally, but certainly very specifically to the 21-day squat challenge, I want to remind you that every episode is brought to you by weightliftingacademy.com, where you can go right now, sign up, register for free, and get a whole bunch of goodies just waiting for you. Begging for you to put them into practice in the gym right now so that you can become a better version of yourself tomorrow than you are today, which is the point, not just physically, but in every other possible way that can be. weightliftingacademy.com. Check it out. Boom. We are in the middle of a 21-day squat challenge series of episodes where I'm trying to discuss with you the answers to a series of questions that I got from Diane Fu, who is the coach over there at San Francisco CrossFit, and she had her crew running through a 21-day squat challenge, and they did great. But the question was, well, what do we do from here? What are some lessons that you have learned that you'd like to tell me about that I can use the next time I run people through a 21-day squat challenge, et cetera, et cetera. So if you haven't seen episode 2, make sure you watch that. That's the first of this series, and then the episode 2 of this whole series, but it's the beginning of the 21-day squat challenge focused series of episodes. And I answered some very specific, clear, in the gym style questions last time. So I'm going to do a more theoretical one today, which is important. Then next time we'll get into some practical stuff again. Then I'll do another theoretical one and kind of go back and forth like that until we've kind of covered the main stuff I want to talk about, because there's a lot of great questions I get a lot from many people about the 21-day squat challenge. Again, thousands of people across the world now have done this. And so I get a lot of email. Let's just say it's a lot. So it's a good idea, I think. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while. I was going to write a series of posts, and I think doing it in video style makes a lot of sense because it's easily consumable for you, and it's a way for me to just hammer through a lot of great questions. So today, though, I'm not going to talk about stuff related to a barbell directly, but rather indirectly through one of the two most important, bigger things you need to be taking away from doing something like a 21-day squat challenge specifically, and more generally what we're trying to be pushing all the time when we have people running Nemesis style programs. There's always the proximate reason why you're doing it. Like obviously a 21-day squat challenge, the reason you do it is because you want a bigger squat, right? That's great. And it's important to have those proximate reasons for doing this crazy ass adventure. But I think it's important to also have a more ultimate reason, a deeper reason for doing it. Lessons that you're trying to learn that you can then apply to other things. So it's not just, yeah, I got my squat up in this short amount of time. It isn't that exciting. But you learn lessons that will apply to your whole strength training experience from now forever, right? And then also to the rest of your life. I'm very keen on that because I don't just take people in for 21 days. I have to coach people over the course of years on end often. And so when I bring somebody in, I think of it like, well, we're going through a degree program and there's preliminaries that we have to teach you. Some of them are technical stuff, but honestly, most of them are intellectual and just emotional. Like I need you to learn some really important lessons that you can apply to your barbell training in a general way that will apply to everything you're going to be doing in the future, not just today. And that's the difference, I think, between, paying for say a taxi ride to get somewhere, which is great, versus learning how to drive. Totally different, right? Or giving, a man a fish or teaching him how to fish. That's the idea, right? So I'm trying to teach you how to fish. I'm trying to teach you how to understand your own body well enough so that you can then, in the future, be much better and much more capable at training than you have ever been before, and much less dependent, quite frankly, even on me. which is actually a goal of mine. I want you to be a much more independent person. In the gym, I always tell every athlete that you are my assistant coach, that I may be the guy who's kind of, giving you the broad overview of what needs to be happening, but fundamentally this is your body, and I can't feel what you feel and all of that other stuff. So that leads me to the phrase that I want to discuss and the essence of the first of the two things that Nemesis is meant to teach you above all else. And I won't even mention what the other one is. We're going to leave it as something really exciting, which it is. And we'll get into that a couple episodes down. But the one I want to focus on today is this phrase that gets bantered around a lot in strength sports, and we don't even know who it's attributed to. What's funny is that there are people now out there who are attributing it to me, which I find hilarious because I most certainly did not come up with this phrase. I stole it from other people. I stole it directly and consciously from John Bros. He stole it from someone else. Who knows? I mean, it's all over the place. Lots of people use it. We don't know where the fuck it came from, so we're just going to say anonymous. Well, we'll call it Milo, actually. Milo the Greek, who lifted a calf on his back every day until it became a bull and he became really big and strong. We're going to, because he was the first guy to use progressive resistance training, we'll say that he came up with it. How you feel is a lie. How you feel is a lie. We hear that all the time. It's a great phrase for beginners to hear. It's very important for beginners to hear. And the example I'm going to give today that involves a whiteboard, woo, it's going to be exciting, is going to go over precisely an example of how this is possible, how your intuition, that's what I really want to use, not the word feeling, but intuition, because they're like wrapped up together. Your intuitions can fail you horribly in situations where you have very little experience, where you're fairly new. But once you are no longer a newbie and you've gone very far down the road of experience in a certain area, then so long as you've learned the right lessons, so long as you've applied that, so long as you have been opened up the whole time to the possibility that you're wrong and that you need to really take these examples seriously that you've been accumulating over time, then what that means, we're going to call that wisdom, what that means is that how you feel is usually true. How you feel is no longer a lie. How you feel is something important. So, no more talking. The Monte Hall Problem, which is basically just a game show, and I'm going to do this in a very weightlifting specific way in order to keep it fun. I will then explain the answer to you because it's going to probably trip you up a little bit. The explanation is going to be blatantly obvious when I show it to you, and then I'm going to apply it to the 21-day squat challenge and squat nemesis in general, and how we're going to use what we're learning here to help you learn a very important lesson for your squats and for your future barbell training. Let's just dive into it, though. The Monte Hall Problem basically goes like this. It's a little game, and I want you to play it with me. We've got 3 doors. It's like The Price is Right, 3 curtains. We'll call them doors. 3 doors, and behind each door is a prize. One of them is an awesome prize. 2 of them are stupid. The awesome prize is a brand new Eleiko barbell. It's a $1,000 barbell. It's a really nice competition grade Olympic barbell. If you pick that door, you win it. The other 2, you also get a prize. It's a PVC pipe that's covered in Justin Bieber duct tape. So that's kind of cool, right? I guess you get a PVC pipe. It's got duct tape, and if you're really into Justin Bieber, woo! So you get a prize either way, just like on The Price of Right. You usually get a prize either way. But one of them is a hell of a lot better than the other, and that's the one you're gunning for. You got 3 doors, again, and you're going to pick what's behind each one of those doors. There's 1 barbell and 2 PVC pipes. And here's how the game works. You have an initial choice. You pick 1 door. After you've picked that 1 door, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open one of the other 2. And when I open one of the other 2, my choice on doing that as the game show host is to always choose and make sure that the barbell isn't the door I open. So that's part of the game. So in other words, what I'm doing is I'm revealing to you one of the crappy choices, one of the PVC pipe doors. So going in on your very first choice, you're going to pick one. You may or may not have picked the barbell door. I'm then going to show you one of the shitty choices, which is going to leave what? It's going to leave 2 doors. And now, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that the barbell is behind one of those two doors. Your first choice and the one you didn't choose. It's behind one of those. You just don't know which one. You then get a second choice. You can either stay with your original choice, and then we open both doors, see what you got. Or you can say, screw my first choice. I want to switch and pick the other door. And then I'll open up both doors and we'll see what you got. What do you do? After you've picked your first door, and I've revealed to you one of the stupid PVC pipes, and there's only 2 doors left, do you stay with your original choice, or do you switch and go to the other one? Here's what most people do. I'm not sure exactly what you're choosing right now since we are over the internet, but here's what most people would say. It doesn't matter, because there's a barbell behind one of 2 doors. That's a 50% probability. You just better off tossing a coin up in the air, seeing where it lands, and just going with that. This is the initial assumption, the intuition most people have. It doesn't actually matter. I might as well stay with my own door. It doesn't really make a difference, right? Here's what actually turns out to be true in this exact scenario, that you should switch. That in every case, you should switch, because there's a twice as likely chance that the other door that you did not choose, the one that's left, has the barbell than the other one, the one you did choose. That when I revealed to you that this other door didn't have a barbell behind it, that changed the probabilities, and now instead of a 50-50 chance, it's actually twice as likely it's in the one you didn't choose. Pretty counterintuitive, right? Weird. We have been told a million times over about how this whole probability crap works, and god damn it, I know that's supposed to be 50-50, 50%. What the hell? So how does that work? It works like this. Forgive the hobo style whiteboard. I'm a mathematician. I can't help myself. I see a whiteboard, I start drawing on it. It's exciting. It's not quite as good as a chalkboard, but it allows for more pretty colors in an easier way. We're just going to go with it. All right, so let's take a look here what we got. Each one of these columns is going to represent a door. All right? That's one of the doors that you could have chosen. Each one of these is a possible state of play. If it helps you, you can think of these as different days. Like this is day number 1. If you decided to play it on the first day, it turns out the bar was behind door number 1. If you decided to play it on the second day, it turns out the bar was behind door number 2. And on the third day when you played it, the bar was behind door number 3. This gives you the 3 possible scenarios that could have happened in different, versions of the game. And in each one, again, you get to choose a door. And then I take one away, one of the bad ones, the PVC. And then you get to stay. And over here, this is what these are going to be, your choices. You stay or you don't stay. That's it. Woo, woo, woo. All right. So let's play the game once, day 1. And what we're going to do is, again, you could have played it on any one of these days. So I'm going to make your choices be the same every time. And that will give us the probabilities of what your choices are going to give you. So day 1, you play the game and you choose door number 1. Let's make our life easy. And let's say you always, on the first round, you choose door number 1. All right. And then, of course, here I am looking at, okay, we got door number 2, door number 3. And I'm thinking, well, both of these are crap. Actually, I can get rid of any one I want. I'll get rid of door number 3. So that just goes away. Whoop, 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 whoop. Right? And we're left with door number 1 and door number 2. And now you get your second move. Your second move is I either get to stay with door number 1 or I can switch and move over to door number 2. Again, you have no idea if the barbell is behind door number 1 or if the PVC is behind door number 1. You don't know. All you know is that you picked this one already. And because your intuition, at least this is the way most people tend to think about it when it's studied, most people's initial intuition, when they don't have a lot of background in this style of game, they will say, it doesn't fucking matter. It's 50-50. I might as well stay with my first choice. So you stay with the first choice, and guess what? That was right. You chose correct. So I'm going to put a rainbow little magnet. Couldn't find it. Little magnet over here. And I'm going to put a bland, boring magnet on the one that was a fail. So Switching this time, big fail. Staying with your original answer, big success. You got a $1,000 barbell. Badass. That's really cool. Let's say we were in a different state of play. Let's say we were playing tomorrow. You never played this first time. Instead, you waited, you played tomorrow. And of course, you make the same choices, right? So you choose door number 1 because you don't know. What the hell? Might as well choose door number 1. I'm over here making my decision now as the game master. And I go, all right, I'm going to get rid of this ugly one. That's my duty. I have to get rid of the one that's crappy because I can't get rid of the barbell one. That's against the rules. So I got to get rid of this. All right. So door number 3 is gone. Now you're left with your second choice. Your second choice is either you stay with door number 1 or you switch and choose door number 2. But your reasoning is exactly the same as it's always been. I have a 50-50 chance. What the hell difference does it make? I might as well stay. So you stay. Fail. You don't get your barbell today, sucker. The barbell was over here, but you didn't know that. You thought 50-50 chance. Well, whatever. If this were the only 2 possible options for how the game worked, you would have still been right 50% of the time, right? I mean, that's still 50%. That is what your brain's telling you, is that this is what the game looks like. Now, let's see why it doesn't look this way. Here's the 3rd day. If you had decided instead to wait to the 3rd day to play this game, this is how it would have looked. You still would have chosen door number 1. And I, of course, have to get rid of door number 2. That's the rules. I can't get rid of the barbell door. Can't get rid of that one. So now you're left on your second move between staying with door number 1 or switching and going to door number 3 this time. That's your choice. That's what you have as options for you. And of course, your reasoning is still the same. 50-50 chance, doesn't make a fucking difference. I might as well stay with this PVC pipe door. You don't know it's a PVC pipe door, but that's what it is. Fail, fool. I pity the fool who don't switch. Look at that. Look at that wild ass shit. Here we have 2 out of 3 chances where switching wins over staying. These are the real probabilities of the game, of your second choice in that game, really the choice that matters. The choice that really matters in a game like this is the second door, or sorry, the second opportunity for choosing. And it turns out, counterintuitively enough, that 2 out of 3 times, twice as likely, switching wins over staying. That's pretty nutty shit, right? That is completely backwards from how most people tend to look at the game the first time they played it. Now let's apply this to barbells. To recap, this game tricks your brain into thinking you are in a heads or tails situation where the barbell is either behind door number 1 or let's say door number 2, and that's it. You either have to pick A or B, and it's going to be behind either one. You know that for sure. Well, that's just heads or tails, man. That's 50-50. No big deal. I've seen this before a million times. The problem is you haven't. What you failed to do was bring in to this event the information you got from the previous event, which was your first choice, and my revealing something to you. That completely altered the probabilities. Instead of it being 50-50, now there's a 2 out of 3 chance, twice as likely chance of you winning if you just switch arbitrarily. Completely counterintuitive. That's crazy. But, and this is the important part, it's only counterintuitive if you've never played the game. If you played this same game 100 times, and I never showed you the answer, I never showed you that whiteboard, I just had you play the game 100 times, unless you were just a really dumb motherfucker, odds are you would accidentally figure out the strategy. You might not know for sure the exact probabilities there, but you'd have a pretty good intuition about it. You would have a feeling every time you were faced with this situation that you're probably better off switching. And you'd be right. 2 out of 3 times that you played this game, you get it right. That means you would get 66 fucking barbells, right? That's pretty good. And you still have to deal with all the damn PVC pipes and all that Justin Bieber looking duct tape. But still, that's a lot of barbells, right? So that difference between the way you feel, what your intuition is like the first time you approach something, that is pretty counterintuitive, and a lot of stuff that we're training you in the gym is counterintuitive. I always just joke, like, if at any point when you're learning how to snatch it feels natural, that means you're doing it wrong. And I think that that's true, quite frankly, for a lot of things, certainly for our programming methods. Here I am telling you, 21-day squat challenge, squat every single day like a maniac for 21 days straight. What? Ain't I going to overtrain, sucker? It sounds crazy, right? It's counterintuitive. There's lots of stuff about this that sound counterintuitive, but they're not really. It's just counterintuitive to you because you're new. And to you, this stuff seems completely foreign. To someone who's been doing this a long time, it's not foreign anymore. It makes perfect sense. This happens too to someone who is, you're not in this category, but a lot of people who have never worked out before. So people in that 85% of Americans who've never done any physical exercise of any kind ever. It's kind of a sad state of affairs. Only 15% of Americans do any kind of physical training, and that includes like yoga and going to curves. It doesn't matter. Just being a member of a Globo gym. That's only 15%. 85% don't do shit. So guess where, say a personal trainer's clients are largely coming from? They're coming in from that 85%. People who are brand new. You know how they react to working out? To soreness the first time they feel it? They're convinced they tore a muscle or they did something really bad to themselves. The feeling of sore muscles is so new. They've really never had it before. It's so new, they're convinced that they might have torn something or done something bad. Remember, I did a lot of personal training for well over a decade before I even started coaching strength sports. Even though I was a competitive strength sport athlete, I was coaching what you might call normal people who are not athletes at all. They're just trying to get in shape. And they are certainly not in shape when they first start. And I cannot tell you the number of people who have approached me really worried about, I think I might have hurt myself, whatever. And it turns out it really is just soreness. Now, their brain's interpreting it completely wrong. It feels pain much worse than you do. When you go to the gym, you don't feel soreness as that bad, right? I mean, it sucks maybe, and you're joking about it, and you're hobbling around going, oh God, I can barely walk up the stairs, but you're fucking around, right? You can actually do it, and you know you can. You know you didn't tear anything because you're used to this. This is not a big deal. Soreness is very normal to you. It's not normal to someone who's never done this before, and it's quite surprising, actually, for a lot of these people who've never worked out before. And that's just yet another example of how, in the beginning, your intuitions, your feelings are a lie. How you feel is a lie. But as you move forward, if you're open to learning and really absorbing this material and making it a part of you, then how you feel becomes very instructive. You see, a person who's been doing athletics for a long time, they know, they can feel a difference 2 or 3 days out between this is the normal soreness that I'm used to and oh shit, man, I pulled yet another muscle, right? We know that difference. We've experienced that difference many times over. Unfortunately, probably more times than we want to admit. And that feeling, that intuition is correct and it's important and you need to listen to it, right? Like, shit, I actually did tweak something somewhere. I should probably go through some more of the the prehab stuff and more ninja training and really focus on more mobility and really focus on, the preventative care and maybe not go for a 1 rep max bench press today. That's probably not a good idea. Your feelings about that are correct in that situation because this is a very familiar situation for you. You know the difference in how soreness feels and how injury feels. To people who never worked out before, they do not. They absolutely do not. And they presume everything's an injury. So the 21-day squat challenge in part, and certainly the rest of Nemesis, is there to help you get more and more and more and more in tune with yourself to the point where it's freaky how successful you are at literally within the workout itself. I've just done this set range or rep range. I think I need to add some weight, or I think I need to, on the next set, do more repetitions with it, or I maybe need to lower the weight, or I need to do something else. Whatever it is. The best athletes in our programs, they are crazy intuitive. They don't have a set plan, But that doesn't imply chaos. To a beginner, that would imply chaos. We have a very clear do this, and then do this, and then do this, and just do what I say and don't think. Because how you feel is a lie. But to a more advanced athlete, it's the opposite. I take all the shackles off. And we have just the vaguest notions of rules. They're not really rules, they're more like guardrails. Like don't drive off the road. I don't want you doing that. But for the most part, I trust you to be able to make the decision in the moment. Like, this needs to happen now. This needs to happen now. And, that results in an amazingly efficient kind of a program, because it means that in this exact moment, if you need to ramp it up and do some really hard training, then you're going to feel that, you're going to know it, and you're going to do it. And if instead you need to ramp it down just a little bit, you'll do that too. And what that means is, instead of like, let's say, this is reality. It's like this crazy graph that goes up and down of what your body's capable of. But what we've done is, because you're a beginner, we just give you a blanket, do this, straight line, right? We're just kind of covering it a little bit. We're missing all these opportunities of the good stuff. And we're kind of, glossing over the bad stuff here. And we're just making you go straight across. And that's not very efficient. The best progress is going to come when your training reflects your body almost exactly. Almost exactly. No one on earth can possibly program that for you, except for you. And even you can't write it down. You have to just do it. You have to just feel it. You have to be there in it. High-level martial arts training, by the way, focuses around that. And this is where I steal that idea from. Nemesis, as I said many times over, is really, I've just stolen a lot of concepts from jiu-jitsu training, specifically, of martial arts training generally, and ported them into the world of barbells. And it's that concept that the best way to train is to be crazy intuitive, that how you feel is the truth. The problem is you have to train that intuition, because just like the Monte Hall game, your initial intuition's probably wrong. So wrong, in fact, you're going to fail, succeed on accident, fail. Whereas if you had a coach whispering in your ear who knew about all this stuff already, right? Telling you, no, switch, just switch. Take the other option. You're like, what the fuck's the why would I don't understand. Just do what your damn coach says, and it's going to work. 21-day squat challenge is like being hyper coached. It's very specific. It's very regimented. You just do it. Don't think. Do it. And just feel what you're feeling. And learn from that. Recognize what's really happening versus what you thought was going to happen, and how different those two things are. Really take that in as a serious learning experience. Then as you move forward, what we do with Nemesis is it's a slow process of me taking away training wheels. So you were on a tricycle, right? Then we put you on a bicycle, but it's still got training wheels. So it's a step up from a tricycle, but you still got those training wheels. Then eventually we take off one of the training wheels, right? Then we let you go. And you're going to run into a tree or two, probably. I certainly did that when I was learning how to ride a bike. I remember the very first day I learned how to ride a bike, I ran the bike directly into a tree. Pop! And then I did it again for another day or two. And I finally got it. I think I was a little slow, quite frankly, on figuring it out. Maybe hitting the tree affected me negatively. I don't know. Lifelong injuries in the brain. But Nemesis is designed just like that. That we begin very, very tricycle-like. That's the 21-day squat challenge. But it's a hard one where I'm forcing you to do something very specific. But it's really hard. What that does is you're forced to face reality, which is that how you felt didn't seem to jive whatsoever with what really happened. That what you thought was going to happen, that's not what happened. What the fuck? You spend time really absorbing that, getting that to be a part of who you are, and you start to learn things. And all of a sudden, your feelings come around to reality. And as you get much more advanced, then your intuitions become powerful. And there will come a point at which I can't really program for you in any way that's beyond ultra general. I won't be able to do that because your intuitions will trump it. Your intuitions will be so powerful and honed in. that is what we call our black belt level. That can take anywhere from 1 year up to 3 or 4 years. It really does. It kind of depends on how often you're training and how dedicated you are to everything. But that's what we call our black belt level, which again is really the beginning of your training. When you're finally at the black belt, that's when you finally get to start training for real. You know, just like with the martial arts, like the black belt's really just, it's there as like an incentive for beginners. But once you hit the black belt level, then you have like the rest of your life to train to really become a master. You're just kind of, you figured out that first initial level of mastery, which is the make or break. You got to get that. It's the intuition. You got to get that. So again, the whole point of Nemesis is you do it every single day. You train like a damn maniac and you just do it, because if you do that and you listen the whole time, that gap between what you feel and what reality is showing you will slowly narrow, and you'll start to intuit the right move. Just like someone playing that game again and again, they'll figure out the right answer without ever having to be shown the right answer scientifically or mathematically. They'll just intuit it. They'll have a good sense that this is the right thing to do, and they'll make that right choice. That's what you're going to be doing. So again, 21-day squat challenge is about teaching yourself how to have better intuition, how to really feel what is true rather than having that newbie problem where what you feel is a lie, which should go away eventually. And if it's not going away, that means you're doing something wrong in your training. And that was one of the biggest things I was trying to figure out, is how do I train people how to do that? This is our key thing. We think of 21-day squat challenge as a boot camp. It's a beginner's program. It's designed to help you figure that stuff out. It's not really about how much you gain on your squat. That's important. We love that. It's great to have that little carrot in front of the donkey. But at the end of the day, you're never going to reach no black belt level unless you start figuring out how to be intuitive about your training. This is a great way to start training yourself how to be intuitive. So on that note, go to the gym, lift some weights, come back, sign up over at weightliftingacademy.com. It's free. You got a whole bunch of good shit, and I'll see you next time.